Welcome again to Prominent Affairs, a different point of view, and I'm your host, John L.J. In the past, we had a very interesting gentleman, and I'm sure you've seen some of his information, you've seen some of his shows, a gentleman by the name of Donald Y. Brown, who actually is from Ghana. He went back to his country to put together a very nice special educational school. Now, when Donald went back to his country, we were blessed to be able to see some of his footage. And he's back with us today with another associate of his to tell us about the trip. So without further ado, Donald?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, Dr. J. How are you?
Pleasure to see you again.
Oh, once again, thank you for having me on.
And you have your associate, the gentleman who went with you and did some of the footage, and his name is Rahim Baskett.
Yes.
Rahim, pleasure.
Pleasure to be here.
We'll be getting some of your special highlights in just a minute. But right now, Donald, I really want to know about this trip. How did it go?
Oh, Dr. J. You know, there's definitely a higher being. We had an unbelievable trip. I took a group of students, Iona College, and before I start, I want to thank Carl Pekelio Foley, Jack Breslin, and Tiffany Denome, those folks at the campus ministry at Iona, for what they did. We took a group, 9 students and 2 faculty members.
I remember that.
Back to Ghana.
Great.
And we went and we raised the roof of a 4-room preschool. We've made magic. In September, 200 students, up to 200 students, are going to be able to use this school.
Wonderful.
Dr. J, last time I was on, we were talking about just the footprints,
yes,
just the land, just the foundation of this school. From December of '07 to present, we are in near completion of this school.
Wonderful. We're certainly in anticipation of that completion because the last show we had seen some of the construction. We got a chance to meet some of the educators, the chief. We saw you in action with some of the students that's going to be participating in school, some of the resources that was available in terms of the rituals. You guys had a wonderful time. That was an exciting show. And I'm pretty sure that we're going to be looking for more to come. As you indicated earlier, there's going to be new students starting when?
New students will have up to 200 students, Dr. J.
Wonderful.
Preschoolers. There was not a preschool in this village. As I said before, we are on a 10-phase remarkable project. I started this with altruistic reasons. I started this after 32 years of being away from my country and stepping foot in that village. The country where I had my first breath, my first walk, and be able to give back to this poor village in such a significant way in such a short period of time. And the job is not done. Phase 1 is near completion.
Right.
We are going to go into phase 2, which is going to provide food for these students. These students don't have a cafeteria, Dr. J. Some of them come with food, some of them don't. As we know, in the United States, nutrition is one of the key things to even learning.
Exactly.
There's a structure there that's not finished. We're going to finish that structure. Those students will be able to feed up to 538 students on that campus in the near future. That school's going to be completed. We're not done yet. We need support. We need support to finish the windows. We need chairs and textbooks and materials and those things. And those things are going to come in.
I'm sure they are.
Yeah.
I see that you've made a magnificent amount of success so far. And because of so much diligence, and I think from the last time we have seen some of the footage during the completion of the school, where the foundation and some of the walls were going up, and the entire village is pitching in. So that's one family unit that's really helping to make this possible.
Absolutely. You know, Dr. J, anybody, I'm just a simple person. There's a barber in Philadelphia. This barber wanted to help people check their blood pressure.
That's wonderful.
So every day, people will come in, and as African Americans, we have a tendency of high blood pressure. We'll come and check our pressure. And several folks he saved because their pressure was so high. He said, Johnny, you better get to the hospital, man. Your pressure is too high. Simple thing as a blood pressure machine saved many lives.
Of course.
There are people that do remarkable things all the time, which does not necessarily takes a lot of, it takes you. It takes the belief. I have the belief that this 10-phase project is going to be successful. I have the belief that with the help of the local community, the help of the international community from Ghana and elsewhere, that we are going to build and construct one of the best school systems in Ghana. And this is going to be this is just a pilot. This is just a pilot for things to come. Because other folks like myself will be able to say, you know what? I've been to my village in Nigeria. I've been to my village in another part of Ghana. I've been to my village in Ivory Coast. If the education group and Donald Brown can do it, so can I. And they're going to go and encourage other folks to go out there and do the same thing that we're doing. Because it was just the will and the determination that I have to make this thing happen. And like I said, Rahim is the photojournalist and took some remarkable pictures, and I'm sure he has some wonderful things to share with us. And his look, the look in the eyes of some of the students, which you're going to see the pictures, and the teachers.
I could imagine.
It's incredible. And the fact that the students, those 9 students that came in, and the immersions which they were able to experience. They were in Ghana for 14 days. I'm talking about the students of Iona. They spent 10 of those 14 days within the village, in which they helped and assisted in building the school. They got to learn the culture. They got to learn the language. They got to learn the food and the various customs. They met the chief of the village. They had a welcoming address and a closing ceremony. They were greeted warmly by the students. The students were happy to see us there. Yes, they're poor, but they were so happy.
Sure,
we played football. We kicked the ball. We laughed and we joked. And there's this one kid who just touched my heart, named Kofi. Kofi, I was teaching a class. The teacher wasn't there because the transportation system is so bad, and bad weather causes some of the teachers to can't make it.
Of course.
So we were there, and there was an empty class. I saw the students there, and I went to this class, and I said, "Where's your teacher?" "Oh, our teacher's not here today. She wasn't able to make it." So I decided to take the class.
Wonderful.
And let me tell you, it was the greatest thing. I felt so much at home. As a former educator, it was second nature to me. And these kids were so eager, raising their hands and jumping up and down, Mr. Brown, and this. And I did one of my favorite literature projects that I've done for many years, and I just threw my best hand out, and they were giving me so much.
I could imagine, listen, with all your energy and your exuberance, you can't help but to be excited.
You can't. You cannot help to be excited about this. It's a calling. It's a calling for me. It's a calling for those people who has walked through my doors. I haven't met a person who has come over to the office and I've shown them footage or I told them about the project and they couldn't buy into this. And I ask people out there in the listening audience, come to Ghana with me. There are some foundations out there that you want to see the finished product.
Of course.
We have a finished product. We have a school that's going to be in completion. I am planning to go back in September for commencement of the school. We'll have footage of that. I plan to have a delegation, some churches and some organizations that are interested in possibly attending those with me.